Welcome to the Artificially Intelligent Podcast, where a white cracker-ass hunky comedian in the flyover state of Iowa speaks with his black African-American person of color musician friend in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Hello, Barrett Antar Goodwin.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, and I'm Nathan Timmel, by the way, for those that don't know. Someone that's tuning in accidentally. There might be some stuff going on right outside my door, some noise. For reasons no one can understand, we've had the trim painted in our house over the past couple of days, which means we had to pull all the furniture off the wall so they could paint the trim on the wall and then push all the furniture back so that the freshly painted trim can't be seen by anybody because it's trim and it's behind furniture. So that makes sense. But either way, so we've been sleeping in the basement the past 3 nights because we took like the dressers and shit, and we had to pull everything in the center of the room, put the dressers on the bed. And my daughter apparently has fallen in love with sleeping in the basement, so she is right on the other side of the door, and I can hear her talking, and she's probably playing video games or doing anything but sleeping like she's supposed to.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's great. All right, how exciting! You lead an exciting life, my friend.
You don't know the half of it. Let me tell you, exciting. I had an interesting experience yesterday that I wanted to bounce off you.
Do tell.
So yesterday was the day. Once a month, I make sure that if I ever start getting an ego or big-headed, like, wow, I actually have talent. When I stand in front of audiences, people laugh. They like me. What I do is I contact booking agents and comedy clubs and try and get work. And then, you'll send out 75 emails and get 0 back. And this is including from clubs where in front of the owner, someone will say, wow, this was the best act you've ever had. And you'd think that would get you rebooked, but pshaw. But I had a very interesting experience. So having done this for a while and having talks to comedy clubs and booking it about once a month is what they want. They don't 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, anything outside of that, they forget. And anything above that is a little too needy or a little too much. And so I'm going to tell a long story here. Why not? In summer, I discovered a new comedy room about 3 hours away from me. And so I reached out to them and said, hey, do you self-book or do you have a booking agent? And they said, we use a liaison. Here's the contact info. And I was getting ready to write to the person when they wrote to me. Said, hey, I heard you're sniffing around my room. I said, yeah, I was just looking for work. I wasn't trying to go behind your back. Here you can use, you live here. So in that city, use this person, and this person as a reference for me. Contact them. He goes, okay, will do. I don't know, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, writes back, hey, you got good shit said about you. Send me your available dates. And I did. I waited a month, sent him. A couple weeks later, writes back, says, hey, how about this date or this date? Said, I can do that date, not that date. Okay, stand by. Wait a month, send new avails, hear back. How about this date? Yes. Don't hear anything. And don't hear anything. Then it gets to October, send out one more, thing like, hey, here are new available dates for me. And then I just sort of forget about them a little bit. So that was October. So now we are in December. And yesterday I went, oh shit, I forgot about this guy. I didn't send him anything in November. Like I said, I usually like to send once a month. Send him off, get a ding back, bing. You know what? I should pull it up so that I don't do it from, let me just read it verbatim so that I'm not paraphrasing or doing anything incorrectly. And I will try not to add tone. That's Truman singing above me. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, little edit there where I searched for the stupid email that I couldn't find. Here it is. So I had sent him something in October, missed a month, sent him something in December. Please, all caps. So please stop emailing us. I'm emailing a person as far as I know. It was a person. That's what I thought, because I'm emailing an individual account. So please, all caps, stop emailing us. When I have an open date, I'll contact you. Your constant flow of emails is not appreciated. Please stop. okay, constant flow, once a month check-in. We are obviously on different pages. To me, constant flow would be, I mean, weekly would be too much. Daily would be constant, but anyway, one every couple of months, the last. So very stupid on my part. I email back, say, hey, blank, absolute apologies on my part. I didn't realize I was overstepping my bounds. Again, apologies. Scroll. So you send me an email in response to my request for no more emails. Please don't contact us anymore, period. We're not interested in working with you. I'm like, well, fascinating. So I had a lot going on in my head at that moment. The stinker in me wanted to, send another email, of course. But I wasn't, obviously we're on two different pages here, but obviously, like, I'm really torn. Like, on the one hand, I don't want to work for him. I mean, if this is the kind of bipolar asshole he is, I don't want to work for someone like that. But on the other hand, if I don't really have to deal with him other than, yeah, I'll do your room, give me, like, I do want to work for him. What does that say about me, where I'm flip, like, what's going through your head as you hear me read those?
I mean, it's weird. When you told me that you responded, I kind of already knew what his response was going to be.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's a catch-22. Like somebody once told me, I was dating a person who was not balanced. PC terms these days. And she said to me, you can't second guess crazy. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, you can't predict it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't assume with logic that this is what this person's going to do. And when you're dealing with a person like that, like, he's like, oh, okay, great. Yeah, I checked you out. You sound great. Everybody says good things about you. Cool. Here's my availables. Great. Can you do these? No, I can do this one. Okay, great. Stand by. Radio silence. Here's my avails. Oh, cool. Can you do this one? I can do this one.
Radio silence.
Right. Then a month goes by, and then you send out your avails again, and he does this. When you respond, like, the thing is that, like, under a normal circumstance, you respond to someone with an apology, and they say, "Oh," dude, it's cool, man.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I apologize, but I wanted to get it up before. I actively, when I apologized, I thought he might write back and say, oh, you know what? I got you confused with someone else that was emailing me daily.
Right. That was kind of my initial thought, was, oh, he must have confused you with someone else.
Right.
That was what I was thinking. I was like, oh, okay. And so when you reach out and you say you're sorry, instead of just being like, apology accepted, I'll reach out to you if I see if there's anything for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or just you send that email and nothing. He just doesn't respond.
Yeah.
It's also perfectly reasonable. Right? But, like, to take the time to write that, it just seems weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's unnecessarily hostile.
Which is why I got stuck in the mind frame of, if this thing is 3 hours away and I don't want to turn money down, but I also don't want to work for someone like that. Like, he's saying, we don't want to work with you. I'm like, why would anyone want to work for you if this is how you treat people, respond to, like, again, when I sent the apology, I honestly thought I was going to get back, oh, you know what? I thought you were the guy that emails me every day, not the guy that emails me once a month. And on this last one, every other, because I looked at the email chain. I'm like, yeah, I keep a spreadsheet so that I don't contact people too often.
I mean, it's interesting to me because, like, in my world, we don't do, hey, here are my avails. We do, hey, I'm going to be in town this weekend. Does that work for you? That we do, like, hey, like what we're doing now is like, hey, we're trying to fill we're trying to fill the 27th through 30th of a month, right? And it's like, we're like, hey, we're going to be in your town on the 27th. Do you have an availability for that or any surrounding date? You know, that's kind of how we do it, which is interesting because we pinpoint very specific dates,
Yeah.
not what works for you. Think of me then. It's more like, hey, this is what we want. And I wonder if that would work in your arena. Like, I wonder how
Well,
that, like, I wonder how yours developed to here are my avails and ours developed to this is the date we want. This is the weekend we want. Does that work? I wonder how that happened, you know?
I mean, that's just the way I was brought up and told. Like every comic sends their availability because the clubs are trying to fill the entire year. But I'll tell you this, 97% of the time,
Mm-hmm.
you just get like your email just acts as a reminder you exist. So
Yes.
if you say, hey, I'm available March 3rd, they'll write back and go, are you available March 2nd? And, you know, you didn't say you
Right.
were, but hopefully you still are. Like
Right.
I can tell you the hundreds of times where I will say, hey, I'm available on this date. And they'll write back and say, hey, are you available on this date? I'm like, actively booked on that date. I'm available on, you know, but you have to be super political and nice and you can't write back. Did you not read what I literally wrote to you? And yeah. And so I'm sure this guy deals with that all the time. I mean,
Right.
you are, I worked a comedy club in a small town in Illinois and I was talking to the owner and he said, I'll bet you $100 that 90% of the people in my own zip code do not know I'm here. But I will also bet you $100 that 100% of the comedians in Miami know I'm here. Meaning they were all contacting him from Miami saying, can I come to this small
Mhm.
town in Illinois and work your club? I mean, the competition is fierce. And so if you are bipolar or just you know, who knows what this guy's, but just the anger is what it's like. The all
Mhm.
caps is what drives it home. It's not like, yeah. And the idea that, like I said, that line, we don't want to work with you anymore because I checked in with you. I mean, that
I mean, yeah, it's unnecessary. And part of me does say, you know, when I first heard the Van Halen story, I think it was about the red M&Ms or green
Brown,
M&Ms,
I think. But yeah,
right?
before
Right.
there was the internet and before everybody knew the truth behind it.
Right. Right. Like I really did think they were just a bunch of assholes. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
was like, what a bunch of fucking douchebags. You know what I mean? Like some poor fucking grunt got to sit there pick out the fucking brown M&Ms for you asshole divas. You know what I mean? But you find out why they did it. You're like, yeah, it fucking makes sense. And I honestly say, like, as much as it's kind of annoying and even hurtful in a way, I would imagine. Like, if somebody responded to me that way about my art, it would be hurtful. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd get over it quickly because I'd realize they're just a dick, but it wouldn't tickle. Like, that's you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, I mean, I was honestly annoyed and hurt, but I mean, over because I'd
Yeah.
never worked for him, but it was like, and this is going to be so awkward and stupid. Then I had the thought, and I would never do this, but I had the active thought, I should email him and see if he wants to be on the podcast because I would love to hear his point of view. Like, hey, when you're sending out an email like that, what's going through your head? You know, but
I'll
uh,
email him.
what's that?
I'll email him and say, hey, I do this podcast with my buddy.
Oh,
And
I think it would be a bad idea because then it would be an ambush, and
oh,
then
it most certainly would be.
yeah,
I mean, but it might be the kind of thing where, like, 6 months from now, you just reach out to me, be like, "Hey, man, I was thinking about our exchange and how poorly it went, and I'd be interested in having you on my podcast to really give your side of what it is you want because I think a lot of people don't know. You know what I mean? And just like
it's an
approach them like
interesting way
that,
to approach it. Right?
but give it, and then actually try to cultivate a friendship with him. Like actually be like, hey, listen, what is it? Because like, because at the end of the day, what I realized, and it's a weird thing when you think about it this way, but what I believe is that clubs are looking for good acts.
I don't believe that at
Acts,
all, but okay.
but what do you think they're looking for?
They're looking for a fast buck. Well, let me. Okay,
Okay, so they're looking for popular acts.
Well, they're looking for the now. There are two. Someone asked me this on a podcast. Some comedians asked me, and I barfed this up off the top of my head. And as I was saying it, I was thinking like, oh, actually, this makes a lot of sense. I was accidentally being insightful. I'm going to oversimplify things, but basically there are two kind of comedy clubs. One would be Loonies in Colorado, Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase, the Funny Stuff. These are comedy clubs that try to establish the business as a trusted business. Hey, you may not know the guy on the marquee, but you know that when you come here, you have fun. You go home happy.
Yeah.
Those clubs are becoming more rare. Then there are the other clubs that are, now. Have you been seen on TV? This guy's hot, and when the instant someone's not hot, they'll drop them too. They just want to get the butts in the seats. And it happened with, I don't like using names. It happened with a comedian in the late '90s, early 2000s, who got some fame and toured the comedy clubs. And as I would tour behind this person, every comedy club hated him, every audience hated him, but they kept booking him because he had this fame and would fill the room. And then the club would sell the drinks. And I think more and more they do that now. It's like stunt booking. There was a club went out of business recently, a year or two ago. They had booked Stormy Daniels. Like, Stormy Daniels is going to stand on stage now and be a headliner. No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, no open mic, no working their way up. Several Jackass guys did it. They just went straight to, hey, Jackass on stage telling jokes. And you hear stories. And I love Jackass. I think they are entertaining as shit. When they do what they do, I love it. Yeah. But standing on stage and telling jokes or stories is a different, it's different. Skill set. And so when they just say, all right, we're going to go to a comedy club now, and oh, okay, you're front of the line, it sucks. And a lot of places are doing that. So
yeah, I mean, it's interesting because that happens in the DJ world. Like if you're famous and you're on some TV show or you're Paris Hilton or something, you can just go, I want to go DJ this place. Somebody will pay you 150 grand.
Yeah. Paris Hilton pushes a fucking button. She has no talent. She still has zero talent. And she's making ungodly amounts because she's Paris Hilton. And I mean, being someone like Fatboy Slim, okay, he has his own success and he's very talented. But imagine you have Fatboy Slim's talent, but not his fame or paycheck, and you're just watching Paris Hilton go, boop, I'm a DJ.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, like, well, let's get back to this other thing. Here's what I think. I think that, like, if you really honestly believe clubs are looking for the now, what does that mean? And what does quality now look like to you?
If I'm being honest, I have to admit that if I owned a comedy club, I would worry about quality, but above quality, like, you have to book a smorgasbord. What does quality look like? I'm not sure I care. What I would care about more than anything is, does the audience go home happy? Now, I'm not saying I'd want to book hack acts that do internet jokes, but say, and I'm just making this up, say I do not like jugglers or ventriloquists. I have nothing against either. I would absolutely book a juggler and a ventriloquist for the sake of variety. Like, this week we have a clean comic. This week we have a dirty comic. This week we have a juggler. This week we have I would want to book acts that brought a variety of people in and send them all home happy, as opposed to, hey, you see this TikTok star? Yeah, he makes some really great 45-second videos. Let's put him on stage for an hour and see how that works out for him. Because I've heard the stories that they have nothing to say.
I can imagine it's really terrible for the comic also. Like it's got to be terrible. Like when you're watching the new Chappelle, and he's talking about how when Daphne's bombing, and kind of there's nothing she can do about it. She's
Yeah.
kind of aware of it, and it's happening, and she just muscles through it, and she kind of just gets through it. But it's fucking terrible. That's
By the way, I didn't
brutal.
watch the new Chappelle because I'm politically correct.
Well, there
No,
you
I did
go.
see it. I watched it. It was great. But anyway,
Right. But you know, but you know what I mean? Like I've been on those gigs. I've been on gigs that were just fucking terrible, and there
yeah.
was nothing we could do about it. We just had to keep playing, and the band was gonna keep sucking, and the we were gonna have different chord change. Like it was just like, well, I guess this is just what it's gonna be. You know what I mean? And it sucks. That being so, like you would think that the comic wouldn't want to do it. Like if somebody said,
Yeah.
all right, here's the thing. As a guitar player, right? As a guitar player who's looking to sing a little bit, I could probably do 45 minutes to an hour worth of music. That's what I could do right now. If somebody hired me, that's what I could pull off, right? Convincingly. If
Okay.
somebody said to me, hey, I've got this 4-hour gig for you in not this Saturday, but next Saturday, can you learn a guitar and sing all these songs? It would sound like what we call an opportunity. And it could be theoretically
Yeah.
if I had the time and I thought I could really pull it off. But I don't know that I could learn 3 sets of material to do comfortably. 2 sets, if I had to add another set in a week, maybe 2 sets, I don't know. And I can't imagine, like, I can't imagine why these people who know that they have a strong 5 to 10 minutes, even a strong 15 to 20, think that 40 minutes of filler is not a lot of time. That's a
Here's
long time, dude. It's a
it
long
is,
fucking time.
but the power of willful delusion is strong. And I no, I say that in full. Let me tell a story. Uh, Went to a show with a buddy and said, "Oh, this is a nice looking room. Let's tape our sets. You know, we just get our phones out. We'll tape them. Just if something happens, great." And he went up, and I'm just sort of like, ooh, like, oh, didn't really bring it the way you wanted to, huh? And he gets off stage. He's like, wow, that was a lot of fun. I'm like, oh, interesting. And he's like, yeah, that was good. And then I went up and I genuinely thought I had a lot of fun. Get off and go home, and I hook my tape up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to use that as a promo reel. I mean, there's some decent laughter on there. And we talked about it on the drive home. We talked about it, and he was like, yeah, that was a lot of fun. He kept talking. It's like several days later, he's like, yeah, I watched that set. That was a lot worse than I thought it was. There wasn't that much laughter. And so I was like, I didn't agree with him, but I'm just like in my head going, well, yeah, what were you hearing when you were on stage and you got off stage and were like, that was great. And that happens a lot. I mean, that happens a lot. And so it could just be that for these stars where they think they're doing great or they're just oblivious to the fact they're not. I don't know.
I mean, I would, I think you may be right. I think I would mix in with that also, but it's actually also just fun to do. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like
You're in
playing,
your own world. Like I'm up here, I'm talking. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like playing bad music with good musicians, it's still kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like if
Mhm.
the drummer is really grooving, just the song sucks. But the
I mean,
drummer is fun to play with. It's like the physical act of playing the bass is fun for me.
yeah.
So even playing mediocre music can still be fun
Have you
to the
seen a
point
bad Will
where
Smith movie? He's still charismatic. I mean,
right.
Will Smith is still Will Smith. Wild Wild West is near unwatchable, but when you're watching it, you're like, Will Smith is still Will Smith. I mean, there's a reason he's a
Right.
movie star. He's still got mad
Right.
charisma.
Right. Yeah. There's right. It's like, you know, there's something to be said for that. You know what I mean? Like if I
Yeah.
stay in a bad band long enough, I start to think it's good because it's fun and I like the people. I enjoy their
Yep.
company and we play music and I have this cathartic experience through music, even if it's bad. You know, if it's good, it's a better experience. You know what I mean? And I think that it's you mix that with a little bit of delusion, and you have a real recipe for disaster. God.
Because I have no life. All right.
Mhm.
Zero life. No, I've been really busy lately. Oh, uh, whisper, don't tell the audience this. I submitted the audiobook today.
Ah,
I finished it all up and now it's processing, being quality controlled. Check it. It's going to be available on 43 outlets, Audible, Amazon, uh,
really?
Apple. Yeah. Like, but that's
Oh,
after it passes all.
fantastic, man.
But so I'm just what I'm telling you that because I'm trying to justify what I'm about to tell you. Plus the painting I mentioned earlier. I'm doing a side hustle right now that I've told you about, where I shouldn't talk about it, but either way, it's drugs. So at the end of the night to wind down, I have been watching 20 minutes, 30 minutes of an old the Brendan Lee Flicker Stick, the guy we had on the podcast,
Mhm.
the Bands on the Run show that he was on VH1
Mm.
20 some years ago. They finally put a quality version of it on YouTube. And that's never, so I am watching it and I'm like revisiting old times. The reason I bring this all up is there was a band, Soul Cracker, and they were the most confident to the point of arrogant band in the world. And they probably like, they would not nonstop be, with the camera saying, well, we're absolutely the best band. We write better songs than them. We are the best band here. We're as the first battle of the band comes, they come in dead last. I mean, dead last. And then they're in their van after it's over saying, I don't understand it. We're absolutely the best band. How did that happen? And it's like, you're really not. You're really not. There's a reason. What I mean,
Right.
the Flicker Stick songs. I mean, people are still talking about them 20 years later. They still want the band to get back
Yeah.
together. They were never as big as U2 or the Police, or Zeppelin. But man, they got a passionate following for a reason. And I
Mhm.
admit to being one of their passionate followers. That's why I wanted them to come on the podcast. They
Yeah.
wrote goddamn good songs. And
Right.
yet Soulcracker, you asked them and they were absolutely the best.
I mean, it's funny because like I'm doing the band thing now, but as like before in my previous life, I was a whore,
Mm-hmm.
like that. Mercenary is the kind word, you know what I mean? But really, no, I mean, I was just a working musician, so I played a lot of music, good and bad, all kinds of stuff. And I can tell you, when you're in the zone with mediocre musicians playing good musicians playing mediocre music, especially if you're singing. Like when you just close your eyes and start singing, even in your car
I
by
mean,
yourself, you feel like you have this catharsis, you have
transcendent.
this moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have these moments where you lose time and stuff. And so, like, if you're in a band and you do that, and all five of you or four of you, whatever many people can lock in and in that moment all just reach this moment of catharsis together and ping pong ideas and have all this stuff happen, you just can't understand why everybody else isn't having the same experience you are. But it's kind of like watching porn and jerking off. What you're doing doesn't feel like what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's the same idea, right? Right? Like, like you're not having the same experience. And it's hard for someone to believe that. Do you know what I mean? Like if you actually saw a video of yourself having sex, it might not be as cool as you think it
I would
is.
never
You know
tape
what I
myself.
mean?
Oh my
Like
God.
it might not look as much fun as you're actually having.
Yeah,
Do you
I
know what I mean?
don't even want to think about it. My God.
But
I couldn't even imagine how idiotic my fucking not just face, like my misshapen body and ugh.
oh yeah. But I'm glad we're talking about this because it's actually an interesting thing. Because I wonder if
Because
like
we're
when
trying to
you're
prep the society for we're like sort of hinting that our sex tape, you and me having sex, is out there somewhere, and
exactly it's
we're
just
getting ahead of
coming
the
out.
curve.
Right. Our college, our misspent youth.
And then when it comes out, we're like, oh no, how did that happen? We had no idea. At least we were young and in
Right.
shape.
Exactly. Um, that reminds me, I did see my first porno the other day.
I was
I
so
was
much
much,
younger in it.
I was
The
much
Dwight
thinner
York
then.
joke.
Yes. Oh, that shit's
I was so
funny.
young back then.
Oh, um, No, I'm glad we're talking about this because it is an interesting thing because, and I think it's the thing that people who don't do art don't understand why people who do it so passionately. It's because there is a place where you can go even if you suck. Like even when you were like 13 and you were playing some Iron Maiden song badly on your bass, you know what I mean? It took you someplace, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you wrong notes and couldn't play. And if you had a recording of yourself or your first bands, you would laugh your ass off at how bad that shit was.
Oh,
But
you don't even have to go back to
you know,
13. Go back to, comedy sets at the beginning. Like go back to
right,
just
yeah,
like, oh my God, I said that on stage. But
right.
let
But
me go the
you
other
know,
direction. Um, I don't know if it's because maybe it's because I've been doing this so long, or I'm a professional, and I don't say it in the way that I'm a professional. I say it in the way like, oh shit, I want to. I don't absolutely have a good time unless the audience is having a good time. It's not because it's because I'm getting paid, and I'm
mhm.
worried, not like actively biting my nails worried, but I'm not having fun unless I hear laughter. If I'm not hearing laughter, I'm not like, oh, well, fuck it. I'm in the zone. Hey, dick joke, dick joke, dick joke. I want to make sure that I'm hearing laughter because I don't want
All
the club
right.
owner to say like, oh, well, here's your money. Never have you again. Not that apparently it makes a difference because when they say best act, I still never see them again. Um,
All right. Well, let's play therapy for a second, okay? Do you think that the fact that you think that gets in the way? And I can explain because I can give a little story, but if you basically have sussed out what I mean by that.
No, I know what you mean, but tell your story because I need to digest it because this is something I don't talk about openly because it's can you imagine posting it on Facebook? Man, I can't get into this club. They told me I was the funniest ever and they won't have me. It's very whiny. It can be very.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing is this. Because I hear you and I have these same frustrations. You know what I mean? Like I do. I have these same frustrations where like I reach out to these clubs over and over and over and over and over again. And then like somebody will say something or we'll meet the person and they'll be like, oh, I booked so and so. Oh, we've been emailing you. Oh, well, yeah, email me now. And then we do, and they like, oh yeah, I listen to your stuff. You guys are great. And it's like, right. And I know that it's just what it is, right?
Yeah,
I get it's just the gig, right?
like I said, they're overwhelmed. They're getting emails
Yeah.
nonstop.
I mean, listen, one of my well, Todd booked a club for quite some time, and he said I was over his house one day and I looked over there. It's like, look, just stack of CDs, not shoulder high, but knee high, stack of CDs from the floor up. And he was like, you know, so what's this? He goes, this came in this week. Just people who wanted this one a gig. And I'm like, are you going to listen to all this? And he goes, I started in the beginning. I listened to as much as I could. I took it very seriously. Over time, I realize how much of it is terrible, and I'm sure there's some gems in there. But right now, I have the people I know who can fill the room, and I'll take their recommendations. And people will still send me stuff, and every now and then I'll listen to it. And if that's the lucky one and it happens to be good, they'll get a gig,
Yeah,
right? But and I get it. Like it must just be exhausting to do
I
that job.
I can
You know
tell
what
you
I
two
mean?
stories really
It must
quick. One, I got booked at a club, and I'm still friends with this person. This goes back years. The club is gone. I don't know. Either way, she was the ticket girl. Like she was the like not the manager of the club. She was down in and she was like, "Hey, you won free tickets," or we're, and the manager would give her the tapes that came in and said, watch them. And she said, I'll just put them on and do what I have to do. And listen, if I hear something, I might stop and look at it. And she said, yours caught my ear. So I stopped and watched. That's one
Mhm.
story. Oh shit. I have three stories. Okay. Another club I got into, the guy told me, this was now we moved up from tapes to DVDs. God, I'm old. VHS tapes back to, so VHS tapes, two DVDs now. The guy's driving me to radio. He's hired me to work his club and he's got a DVD player in his dashboard built into his car. And he's like, yeah, you had a good tape. You had a good set. Usually, I pop it in as I'm driving, and if give it like a minute, tops. And if I don't like it, boom, out the window. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, just throw it out the window, gone, moving on.
Actually, other than the littering aspect, that's the perfect response.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. I did not like the littering. I was like completely torn. I'm like, I don't like the idea of throwing these plastic, but also
Right.
it's such an ego boost. And here's the biggest ego boost maybe I've gotten. And this booking agent I still work for, I have gigs coming up. She said when I sent my, I don't know what I would have sent her tape via, maybe it was YouTube by then. I don't know. She said that my set is the only one that her husband came in to watch. Like he was in the other room, heard some of it, came in, watched, and then sat down next to her and they watched the entire thing. Like she's like, he hears me doing this all day, hates most of it, and whatever you said caught his ear. And it's like, I need 20 clubs like that. I need 20 people that really care and search out new talent and don't, and I don't say this as an insult, don't fall into the Todd trap, which is completely easy to fall into and understandable. Where
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you, it's like what you said in the beginning of the conversation, where the guy's like, nobody knows I'm here.
Yeah.
But these 30 comics know. I was like, yeah. When you open up a club, there's about 300 or 400 musicians. Like if you open up a club where you don't have to bring a following and you pay, right? So I don't have to bring people and you're still going to give me enough money to be there. Everybody wants that club. I can't even imagine. I'm not trying to let Todd off the hook because he's my buddy, but I can't imagine.
I have another story.
That job,
this
ever.
Just happened. A new club opened, I'm going to guess 2 months ago, maybe 3. I had reached out to him before it opened, said, hey, I reached out to the general info line because it's the only contact info they had on the website. Said, hey, you're opening soon. Where can I get a press kit to you? They said, send it to this guy. I'm the owner manager. Send it to me. Did a follow-up a couple months later. He was already using a booking agency because he had been so overwhelmed. He's like, nope, I book through these people now. Like he just didn't want to deal with it. He said, they got slammed.
Yeah. I mean, especially like, although when you say nobody around there knew, you meant none of the comics knew or no people knew in the town.
That's what he said. He said 90% of the people in my own zip code don't know I'm here. Customers, people that would be paying customers. 100% of the comedians in Miami have heard of this tiny club in this little Illinois town because the comics wanted to go there and work and tell their jokes.
Which is right. It's just what a fascinating thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It did. When you first said it, I thought that's what you meant. Then I started thinking, I wonder if I'm overlooking places in my own area. Like by constantly looking to be out on the road. Because it, not just because the tour poster looks good, but when you see that stuff, like it is a judgment thing, right? You look at somebody's thing, you look at a tour poster, and you kind of, the person lives in New Jersey, you don't just want to see New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey, New York, Manhattan, New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey, Philly, New Jersey, New Jersey. Like you don't, it's just like, that's not what you want to see. For some reason, there's a psychological kick that happens when you see Vermont, Boston, Springfield, New Haven.
It looks like a real tour. Yeah.
New Haven. I mean, it just looks like a band that's actually doing something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even if the dates are spread out, they're just doing something. But I wonder if like in the quest to be that, there's the local thing that's being overlooked. And in my case, that's probably true. You know what I mean? Like I probably overlook the same venues that I would play in Boston that exist, an hour away and not 3 hours away. Interesting thought. I do think that in your world, I wonder, right? Like if we could define what quality was, because I have your promo package. I looked at it. It looks great. Like I saw it and I was like, yeah, this was legit. Like this is not bullshit. Like there's no reason for somebody to open this up and think amateur. You know what I mean? Like,
I have another story. I told you this one off air months ago. You might remember this. I got contacted out of the blue, out of the blue by a comedy club. I say out of the blue because it wasn't a response. I had contacted this comedy club multiple times, once a month, not too often, sending my press kit and say, hey, this is me. Here's a link to whatever, this is why. And so the owner, booker, manager contacted me and said, hey, Nathan, I'm doing a seminar on how to get booked at a comedy club. I would like to use, with your permission, your emails as how to do it. Like, they're so clear, they're so concise, they have all the information. I mean, it was very complimentary. And I'm like, sure, but you don't book me. Like, and still hasn't, still has not booked me. Said that I send the best, most professional emails. And I'm like, so are you saying that my emails are great, but my content is lacking? Because I think the content is there, but I'm biased. I could be wrong. Right. But I just thought that was like so bizarre that the guy, I really love your emails. Can I tell other people to be like Nathan and just not get hired?
I mean, it's an interesting thing. I suppose it's one of those things where I feel like I've been so lenient in my own life that I have to be hard on myself. Like, I think that I let myself off the hook a lot of times. So I want to kind of be one of these people who's like, well, if something happened, it's probably my fault, and there's probably something I can do about it. So let me see what I can do, right? And maybe that's unreasonable to a degree. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that somehow.
I feel that because that's why I sent the apology. I mean, my initial reaction was, what the fuck? Fuck you. What a horrible email. All right, let's see what happens. Hey, it could be me. And then, nope, wasn't me. It was definitely
the fucking douche, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like, I wonder if you did look at your package and everything is professional, what could you do? Like, what if you were to be super critical of yourself, how could you make your content better?
Well, I'll tell you off air, because I don't want to get into it right now because it's a little too personal. Sorry, both listeners, but viewers, watchers, whichever version you, because I think I want to start doing something. I don't want to say on the side, but we'll talk about that.
Ooh, a side hustle.
Well, no, it's more, yeah.
All right, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
If you want to sign off, we can talk about it now. Bye, listeners.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what time it is.
We haven't even done our hour. I mean,
oh yeah, we got time.
Yeah,
and I got all these texts that came in. I don't have a time. I don't have a clock on this.
I do. Good. How'd not to go sideways, but how did the video release go?
The video release went great. Decent number of views so far. We shot a new one today, though. We shot Got Me Good. We shot that today, so we'll have a rough of that in a couple of days, I think.
Neat.
Which is just exciting. So we'll have those two videos out, and then I think we're done for a little while. The album, the single is available. The album, I have copies of it. I'm sure I could slip you one, I suppose.
Well, you should. Speaking, you were saying the singles available. Is that on Spotify? Did you hear what happened to comedians on Spotify?
I think that they dropped the comedians or something.
Yeah, right? I went from having 5 albums to 1 album, and then someone posted that there was a difference. So I might have 2, but all of my albums disappeared, except for, just gone.
Why did that happen?
Oh, it's a long story. So I got contacted months and months ago by a service that said, hey, we're going to start collecting royalties for comedians because comedians are ignored.
Okay, I know what happened now. Never mind.
Yeah. And I said, but I already get royalties from this. And they said, no, we're really going to, I said, and they had this long list, like all these comedians have signed up. And it was really, big names. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to, I'll be making pennies, but if I make $50 a year or whatever, so I signed up, and then Spotify said, fuck you, we don't want to pay anything, and dropped everybody that signed. And I'm like, there you go.
Everybody that's signed, or everybody
I think
that
everybody that's signed. I think anybody that's on
Oh.
that list got dropped. It's our Norma Ray moment. Now we have to stand our ground and strike or unionize, or I have no idea. But you know, I wasn't getting anything before. It's not like I was getting paid before, but at least I had content out there. And so,
I mean, the problem is
although, oh
that,
wait, I'll say one more thing. I
Mhm.
did see this meme. Did you see the founder of Spotify meme? I'm going to make these numbers up, but it said there was a picture and it said, this is so and so. I can't think of it. The founder of Spotify. He is currently worth this many $1 billion, more than Paul McCartney. He has no talent. He's written 0 songs, and he makes more money off artists than the artists he pays, to make money. It was really interesting. I'm like, well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I was thinking about Amazon the other day, and how Amazon is terrible, right? Not terrible, but like, does it puts certain kind of businesses out of business? Or they have really shady practices. They don't pay their workers, all kinds of shit that's pretty bad, right?
But they're very good to authors, because I used to have to order 1,000 copies of my book and have them sit in my basement. Now Amazon just prints them one at a time when someone orders. Love it.
Right. And I have one of those Yeti mugs,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a little magnetic slide on it. It fell. I can't find the slide. I went on Amazon. It was here in a day. I'm sure I could have gone somewhere else to get it, but for the life of me in that moment, I couldn't even think of where to go. I was like, where did he even get this thing from? I said, I guess I go to the Yeti website and order it. But Amazon, go type it in, swipe, boom, here in a day.
It's like the Underpants Gnomes episode of South Park, where they're I can't remember what they call it, but Starbucks is moving in and putting out Tweak's parents out of business. And everyone's like, oh, shut down the big corporation. At the end, they're like, wait a second, Tweak's coffee tastes like absolute dog shit. There's a reason Starbucks is successful. They have a good quality product and a good price.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, like, it's so convenient. And I was calling, I put out an ad because I was looking to just play guitar and sing in somebody's band. Like, let me just see what's out there. So I put out a couple feelers, and somebody got back to me, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, why don't you make a Spotify playlist of the songs that you want me to know and send it to me, and I'll learn them, and we'll come down, we'll play and see if some magic happens, And he goes, oh, I don't have Spotify. I'm like, what do you use to listen to and share and send music? And he says, YouTube. And I say, oh, cool. So just make a YouTube playlist and go send it to me. He goes, oh, I already got you, man. I made an Excel spreadsheet with the song and the version and the this and the that. And I was thinking to myself, you made an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to put 15 songs on an, not even 8 or 10 songs on an Excel spreadsheet with the song, the artist who did it, and the version specifically that you want us to do, instead of just
making
sending
you
me
Google it.
Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, that tells me a lot, and at the same time, I have friends who are not on Spotify who just refuse to put their music up there because they refuse to get ripped off.
Yeah.
And I understand it. It becomes a question of, are we the horseshoe makers cursing at the wheel? Like,
well,
who are we? You know what I mean? Like, is there a point at which you become the coal miners saying, bring our jobs back? When it's like, dude, that ship is sailed. Like,
yeah.
Coal is not gonna be it, bro. Like, go get yourself a job at a wind turbine, because that's where this shit is going. Clearly, you don't have to like it. You can think it's fucked up, but this is where it is. Like, or do you stand your ground and do like some kind of bus boycott?
Well, I it doesn't relate exactly to what you're saying, but I read a fascinating book. I wish I could remember the name of it. We've been over this a million times. I read shit. I retain sort of grains of knowledge, but You remember when Spotify hit, or even LimeWire or Shazam, any of those?
Mhm.
The internet was supposed to explode the industry because it gave everyone access. So suddenly, little unheard indie artists that would never get on a major record label were going to get exposure and start touring and be, the internet was going to save everyone.
Mhm.
And instead, it just made the popular artists more popular. And
Yes.
like, it didn't give um, Liz Phair equal footing with Taylor Swift. It just didn't, because Taylor Swift is Taylor
I
Swift.
mean,
And what they discovered was, and this story I remember very well, and we may have even talked about it. One thing they found fascinating is a guy did a study. He went and sat at a diner all day, and it had a jukebox, and all day people would come in and play the hits and play the hits. And he waited, and then after the place closed, he's like, all right, now this is going to be interesting. Let's see what the waitresses listen to as they count their tips and do the cleanup work. And he waited for them to start picking the obscure tracks on the nope. They played the same fucking songs they'd heard all day that the customers, and he's like, that is goddamn interesting. And that's
yeah.
Spotify in a
No,
nutshell,
that's
is it
true.
just made the biggest
That's true.
artists already bigger.
But you know what? But it is one of those rising tides lifts all ships, all
Yeah.
boats
I'm
type
not
thing. You know what I
decrying it.
mean?
I was
Like
happy to be on it. I was very happy to say I have 5 albums on Spotify.
I mean, because well, you know what happened? Like I found some guy today. Fender was advertising something in my Instagram feed, and there's some dude who I can't even remember his name right now, but I think I followed him, and I was like, oh, never heard of this person ever in my life, ever. And he's got 143,000 followers. And I was like, that's a healthy chunk. You know what I mean? That's a healthy chunk of people. And I'd never heard of this person in my life. I think that before the internet, it would be very difficult to be a 22-year-old, you know, with 143,000 followers or fans. Do you know what I mean? Like 25 years ago, it, not that it was impossible, but if you could sell 100,000 records, you could have a record deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you could sell 100,000 records, and it's like, right, like being able to do that, that's a real thing. Now, if you sold 100,000 records on your indie label, they might drop you. Not really for 100,000.
No, I
Like
was going to
even,
say you get,
but you
well,
know,
the
but you know
counter
what I
to
mean.
that
Like
is the
it's a different
counter.
world. You know. Mhm.
How many of those fans are passionate fans? I mean,
Right.
how many are just like, oh,
Yes.
I just, sometimes people I see that follow 5,000 other people on Twitter or Instagram, how much shit is going through their feed where they actively are interested in, and how much of it is just
Right.
like, oh yeah. The as you say, the power is in purchase point. Will they pay a ticket to see this person, buy a ticket? Will they buy an album? Will they buy product? Or is it just because it's on their phone for free that they follow them? Yeah, that's amusing. Oh, I
Right.
like that. When push comes to shove, where do they stand? And that's what you need. You need
Yes.
people that really are invested in you. And that, I think, I mean, I can't even get 100,000 followers. But yeah, if you can get 500,000 followers and then get 10,000 of them to download your album, I mean, that'd be fucking amazing.
Right.
You
Yeah.
play the
I
percentages.
mean, it's an interesting thing, right? Like if you have 150,000 soft, you have 150,000 followers, and 4/5 of them are soft. Soft
Yeah.
follow. You know what I mean? That that's still like fuck. That's it's still enough to make a living, like a solid living. You know what I mean? Off of like it's a fascinating thing. The number game. Yeah, I mean, I think that the internet has made certain things possible where they are right. Right, like it's made it easier for fringe groups to meet. Right, like shit
Yeah.
like QAnon and all this stuff. But by the same token, it's made fringe music given fringe music a community, right? Like the metal, hardcore metal stuff thrives off the internet. No record deals, none of this stuff. these people are playing big ass concerts and shows. You never know about them because you don't listen to that kind of music. But yeah, I mean, like there's something to be said for it that is interesting. And I wonder if we rethink because we're like not youngsters. I wonder if we rethink our approach to it and start thinking more like young people. If we would have a different experience, even with the booking agents, like to come full circle. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do the young people who are just getting into this, and this is just all they know, right? Is
I
what
am
is
gonna watch Mean Girls after we get off, and I'm gonna start dressing like Amy Poehler. I want to
there you go. That'll do it.
hip it
That'll
up,
do
be the hip dad.
it. You're funny. You should get into comedy. This
Hey,
podcasting thing doesn't work. Oh man, that's some funny shit. Um, yeah,
let's
that's
sign
interesting.
off and talk for a second.
Yeah, let's do that. But I would like to put a call out to anybody who is watching this, like both of you, really, like,
Or listening. We're on
right, or
multiple
listening,
platforms.
right? Actually, the one of you who's listening and the one of you who's watching, you guys should
Now
get
we've
to meet
got
each
it.
other.
The
You guys
breakdown,
should, you
demographic
guys should
breakdown.
should meet. You know, I think it's a match made in heaven. Really, you guys are made for each other.
Swipe right.
I I do think that it would be interesting to put out a call to booking agents. You know what I mean? Like even when like once you have a good relationship, maybe. And I'll do the same, or even if, like advertise on Facebook, like, hey,
I've,
looking for booking agents, because I would like to get some people up here to have a conversation and just talk about that stuff because we're not in an adversarial relationship. Like at the end of the day, the club and you aren't in an adversarial relationship where you're trying to work as little and get as much as you can from them. You're trying to give them, you're trying to put on a
yeah,
performance because you actually actively want to do your best so people show up and more people show up and more people.
yeah,
And they actively want people who want to do that. So but we treat the relationship like adversarial, like, oh, who are all these comics coming after me? And oh, god damn it, these club owners can only get back to me. It's like, right, it's so adversarial when it doesn't have to be. And I wonder if there's a way to like really sort that out. Maybe have a conversation with them and just find out because maybe there is something really obvious that we just can't see because we're on this side of it. You know what I mean? Right?
yeah. No, that's
You know,
that's a that's a. That's, I think going all the way back up front, that's what I tried to do. Is like obviously my knee jerk reaction was, "Wow, fuck this guy, what an asshole."
it sounds like a
But I
fucking good
also,
guy.
all right, this is not how he approaches it. Let's just shoot a quick apology, and then it was just asshole confirmed. But
Yeah,
you know,
like unnecessarily, like it's unnecessarily hostile. And I've been using that phrase a lot recently because I notice there's so much of it. There's so much unnecessary hostility because I think that, and this is where, like, you know, the compassionate, right? Like learning to see each other's humanity, right? Learning to see that this club owner is a human and maybe had a bad day and maybe said some shit that he shouldn't have said because he's pissed off at you, but not you. He's pissed off at something else. The
yeah,
problem is he gonna be, if that is indeed the case, right? If it is indeed the case and not the case that really like every 8 weeks is just too fucking much for him, because maybe it is. Maybe every 8 weeks is just too fucking much.
it could have
And
been,
he's
yeah,
like, you know, and he's like, it's just too much. Every like, fuck you. You're fucking blowing up my spot. I don't like it. Stop blowing up my phone, right? But assuming that it also could be that he had a bad day, if he's a reasonable person, he'll come back to you in a couple of days and be like, hey man, listen, I'm really sorry. I was having a really shitty day. I took it out on you. That's unfair. Here's a gig, right? Chances are it's not gonna happen. But it could,
now
you know,
holding my breath.
right. Don't hold your breath, right? Um, but it would be like he's a human being and he had a shitty day. Chances are he won't acknowledge that, or if he does, it won't amount to much in your world. But it would be interesting to get people on to figure out maybe there's a time of day that that's best for them. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah,
there's something that we are missing because you know, because I'll say it like as a band leader and now a front person in a way, and a musical director and a sideman,
and
having done
black.
and black, right? having done all those different roles, it really is different. Being a sideman is a very different relationship than being a leader. And being a leader is a very different relationship than running a band for someone who is the leader, right? And having to like interpret what they say and impart that to other people. And being with on a road, a touring band is very different than being a band that doesn't tour. And they're all different perspectives. And without knowing all of them, I had no idea what I was stepping into and no idea of the misconceptions I had about what each one of those roles was, just because I had a skill that transferred to each one of them.
I
Do you know what I
mean,
mean? And I,
well, I
one
mean,
of
to
the
me, the first thing I think of is how many actors have you heard that directed a film and said, one, I had no idea that that's what the director was going through. And then
right,
B also said, as an actor, I knew how to talk to the actors as a director. You know, like
right,
it's like both sides. One, I had no idea. Like
right.
I just looked at it as the guy behind the camera. And yeah. All right.
I
Well,
mean, maybe go get a job booking one of the local comedy clubs and watch what they go through, and then you'll get some insight.
yeah.
I'm
All right.
sorry, I don't think so. Like, but it's really obnoxious. It'll get us canceled, so I'll shut my mouth. But
Don't shut your
I'll,
mouth. Talk about On My Way. The video is
yes,
available. It's up. It's live. It's the one that I
it
raved
is.
about a couple weeks ago. It's a
Yeah,
good
it's good
tune.
stuff.
I
It's
think
good
the
stuff.
video that goes with the tune is very
Yeah,
complementary. I think they work well
yeah.
together. Um, and the video On My Way and song are for the album On My Way, which doesn't come out till next year, January. But as you said, you just filmed another video and song, but
Yeah,
for the
yeah. CD
Katie Henry
release.
Band,
Yeah,
which can be
CD
found
release
at
party.
katiehenrymusic.com.
Yes,
You can be found at antargoodwin.com for anybody
I
out there that
can.
needs bass lessons, a musical director, a
Mm-hmm.
guitar player, a bass player, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else I missed?
Let's see. I will be doing a gig this weekend at the Dawson Street Pub in Philadelphia, fronting a band. Come out. I think it's probably free. It's a pub. I can't
Yeah.
imagine they'd charge you to come in. Katie Henry Band CD release party. October or Sep. What the fuck am I saying?
Album comes out in January.
January. January 21st at the Stanhope House. I was thinking it's like it was supposed to be the 28th and then the 21st, and the date's been
Well, the
changed.
album's
It
coming
was
out on the
originally
28th, but it was on the
right.
21st. So the
It
party's
was
on the
right,
21st, and
and the
you'll sell the
gig was
physical copies at the party, but
yeah.
the down, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah, and the original date was August 15th, so we had a date at Stanhope. We had to change it.
Oh, that's right. The artwork changed. Yeah, you
A
pushed
bunch
it
of
back
drama.
months.
Yeah, a bunch of drama. Um, but January 21st will be at Stanhope House. It's gonna be great. We have Claire Maloney not opening, sharing the stage with us, and Lily Bella, who both of them are just great artists. To be a night of female fronted bands. It's gonna be great. Really
Are
fun
any of them
stuff.
going to pee on an audience member's face?
No, but she's a friend of mine. We could
I
call
know,
her.
but I'm just not
We
interested.
could
If
get
that's
we
it,
get her
that's what
on the
happens when
podcast.
you level up, then anything below that just you tune out. You know.
Can we call her? See if she'll come on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll call her, see what she says. She'll probably tell me fuck off, but
Well,
it could
yeah.
be fun.
Well, because you were her friend 2 weeks ago, then she blew up, and now you're her friend that's calling her because she blew up. You know.
Well, I mean, it's also because and that's the reality is I haven't talked to her in like a year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we text every now and then and shit, but we're not friends. Like we don't hang out anymore like we used to. So
Yeah.
but I would be really interesting to talk to her just to get her sense of what that day was like, peeing on a stranger,
Yeah.
like a pre-planned pee event. Fascinating. Anyway,
Well,
I hear you have a book out that
and
you
it's going to
just
be an audiobook soon, as we talked about
yes,
earlier. Well,
yes.
I love when I get new reviews. This is a quote that I'll paraphrase, but I'll throw the actual quote up as we're talking for anybody watching. It's on Amazon. The guy is a book blogger. He wrote it on his blog, but then posted it on Amazon and Goodreads. He said, when I am going to write a review, after I read the book, I skim it a second time just to like, oh, okay, what did I read? What do I want to talk about in the review? He said, with my book, We Are 100, he said, instead of skimming it a second time, he actually read it full through the second time, and he enjoyed it just as much that second time. He said, I read it, loved it, sat down to write the review and said, I'm just going to read it again instead of like looking for. And wow, I mean, that to me,
Yeah.
the two biggest compliments I think I've gotten, I think, are the people that said they read it in one sitting, and that's happened several times. And now someone that said they read it twice. I mean,
Mhm.
we are 100. It is available on Amazon. And as I said earlier, I love Amazon because when I first bought albums, CDs as a
Mhm.
comedian to sell, I had to buy
Mhm.
1,000 of those fucking things. I still have copies of my first one sitting there. Actually, you know what? I only have like 3 copies because I saved them because I wanted to hold on to those 3, but it took me fucking forever. And at the end, you're like giving all like, here, just take this one. And I've talked to plenty of authors that did that. We're like, I'm buying 1,000 books because I'm going to sell 1,000, and then they have 997 sitting in their basement. So
Oh man,
it's good for the environment too. One stop shopping. You hit click, they print up a book, they send you a book. It's also an ebook, so you don't have to kill any trees. But we are 100 available on Amazon. You can click through from nathantimmel.com. That's where you can find all things me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for watching or listening, everyone. Barrett, good seeing your face.